My name is Emma. I am 29 years old. I live in a small flat in the city. Last summer, I lost my job. I worked in a warehouse. I packed boxes and helped with orders. It was not easy, but I liked it. I got my own money. I paid my rent. I bought food. I felt proud. I did not ask for help. One Friday, my manager called me to the office. He looked at his desk and not at me. He said the company had problems. He said I had to leave. I did not say anything. I only nodded. I walked home with slow steps. The sun was hot, but I felt cold. My hands felt empty. I had no work now. I had no plan. I sat on my bed in silence. I looked at the wall. I did not cry. I just sat and stared. The next day I woke up early. I made tea and stood at the window. I watched the street. People walked by in a hurry. They were going to work. But I had no place to go. I turned on my old laptop. I searched for jobs. I clicked on every ad I saw. Some needed a degree. Some wanted many years of work. Some jobs paid very little. Others were too far from my home. I tried to find something. I sent many emails, but no one answered me. A few days passed. I ate less food. I kept the lights off. I stopped using hot water. I needed to save money. I checked my bank account every day. The number went down. I could feel my heart beat faster. I started to sleep late. I did not set an alarm. I stayed in bed. I did not want to get up. I felt heavy. I did not wash my hair. I did not clean the flat. Everything felt useless. One day, I saw my neighbor near the lift. She asked if I was okay. I smiled and said yes. But I was not okay. I felt weak inside. I wanted to talk, but I couldn't. I did not want to look sad. I did not want pity. I went back to my flat and closed the door. I sat on the floor. I hugged my knees. I wanted the noise in my head to stop. I stayed like that for some time. Every day felt the same. I checked my phone, but there were no calls. I checked my emails, but no new messages. The world felt far away. I stopped calling my friends. I did not want to lie. I did not want to say, I'm fine. I was not fine. I was tired. I was angry. I was afraid. One afternoon, I walked to the store. I had a list in my mind. I picked the cheapest food. I counted the coins in my hand. When I got home, I cooked rice and beans. I ate it slowly. I ate the same food again the next day, and the day after that. My clothes felt loose. I did not feel hungry anymore. I just felt empty. A week later, I got a message from someone I knew at school. His name was Brian. He wrote, "Hi, how are you?" I looked at the message for a long time. Then I wrote back, "Not great. I lost my job." He sent a long message. He said he was sorry. He said he wanted to help. I did not know what to say. I said thank you. The next day he called me. I did not want to answer, but I did. His voice was soft. He asked me if I wanted to talk. I said yes. We met near the park. He brought me coffee. I said I could not pay. He said it was okay. We sat on a bench. I told him about the warehouse. I told him I had no money. I told him I felt tired. He listened. He did not judge me. He said, "I know someone who works at a delivery place. I can ask him." I said thank you again. 2 days later, Brian gave me a phone number. I saved it. I waited another day. Then I called. The man on the phone was polite. He asked a few things. He said they had part-time work. He asked if I could come tomorrow. I said yes. I wrote down the address and the time. I felt nervous, but it was a new chance. I wanted to try. That night I could not sleep. I stared at the ceiling. I heard the clock tick. My heart beat fast. I thought about what to wear. I thought about what to say. I wanted to do well. I wanted to get this job. The next morning I woke up early. I took a shower. I wore clean jeans and a plain shirt. I brushed my hair. I looked in the mirror. I looked tired, but I tried to smile. I walked to the delivery place. It was loud and busy. There were people moving boxes. I saw the man I spoke to on the phone. He gave me a yellow vest. He showed me what to do. I followed him. I carried small boxes. I helped others. I watched and I worked. No one asked too many questions. The hours went by fast. At lunch, I sat on a bench outside. I had bread and water. A woman sat near me. She said her name was Mia. She said I was doing fine. I said thank you. It felt good to hear kind words. When work ended, the man said I could come back next week. I said yes. I walked home with tired legs, but I felt light inside. I opened my door and sat on the sofa. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. It was not a big job. It was not full-time, but it was something. It gave me a reason to wake up. It gave me hope. That night, I made hot tea. I watched the sun go down. I opened the window. I felt the evening air. It smelled fresh. I thought about the day. I felt proud. Not because of the job, but because I did not give up. I felt strong again. Just a little, but it was enough. Before I continue my story, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? Sometimes I wonder if someone out there really understands me. Just knowing you're here gives me strength. The next week, I went back to the delivery place. I worked from morning to evening. The work was not easy. My back hurt. My arms felt weak, but I did not stop. I needed the money. I needed to feel useful. I carried boxes. I helped the driver. I checked numbers on the boxes. I tried to do everything right. I worked 3 days that week. It was not much, but it helped. I bought eggs. I bought vegetables. I even bought fruit. I cooked a small meal. I felt happy to eat something warm again. I ate slowly. I looked at the food and felt thankful. It had been a long time since I felt this way. Each day, I felt a little stronger. I still had no full job. I still had to count my coins, but I was not stuck anymore. I had a reason to wake up. I had a reason to walk out the door. I spoke to people at work. I said good morning. They said it back. Some smiled. Some asked how I was. I said, tired, but okay. It felt good to be seen. After a few weeks, Jason, the manager, asked if I could work more days. I said yes. He said I worked hard. He said I was careful and fast. I felt proud. I tried not to smile too much, but I did. That evening, I walked home with a bag of rice and some apples. I passed the shop window. I saw my face. I looked tired, but different. I looked more alive. At home, I cleaned the flat. I opened the curtains. I washed my sheets. I swept the floor. The place looked brighter. I lit a small candle I found in a drawer. It smelled like lemon. I sat on the chair and felt calm. It was not a big home, but it was mine again. It felt like home again. One weekend, I visited the park near my street. I sat on a bench and watched the trees. The wind moved the leaves. A dog ran past. A child laughed. I closed my eyes for a minute. I felt the sun on my face. I breathed in and out. For a short time, I felt peace. But not every day was easy. Some days, I felt very tired. My body hurt. My feet were sore. My hands were dry from lifting boxes. Some nights, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. My mind still asked questions. What if the job ends again? What if I can't pay rent next month? I tried to sleep, but my thoughts stayed awake. I had to remind myself, you are okay. You are trying. That is enough for now. At work, I met more people. I did not talk much, but I listened. One man talked about his baby. A woman talked about her long bus ride. I heard their small stories. I felt like part of something again. We were not close, but we worked side by side. That was enough. One rainy day, the truck broke down. We stood outside for a long time. Our clothes were wet. The boxes were late. Everyone was cold. I started to feel sick. The next day, I had a fever. I stayed home. I slept most of the day. I drank water and ate soup. I missed work, but I needed to rest. I told myself it was okay to take one day off. After I got better, I went back. Jason asked how I felt. I said I was okay now. He gave me a paper with more hours. I was happy. It meant I could earn more. Maybe I could buy better shoes. Maybe I could fix the heater. These were small things, but they gave me hope. I started to make a new plan. I wanted to learn something new. Maybe I could work in a small office one day. Maybe I could use a computer. But first, I needed to save money. I needed to stay strong. Every coin I saved was one step forward. Every small win was part of the climb. One evening, I found an old notebook under my bed. I opened it. It was empty. I did not write anything. I just looked at the pages. I touched the paper and closed it again. I didn't need to write a list of dreams. I only needed to keep going, one day at a time. A few weeks later, I paid my rent on time. It felt good to give the money without worry. The landlord smiled and said thank you. I walked back to my flat and smiled too. It was just rent, but it meant I could stay in my home. I had worked for it. I had earned it. At work, a new person joined our team. Her name was Beth. She was quiet, like me. On break, we sat together. She said the job was hard. I said yes, but it helped. She smiled. We started to talk more. We walked to the bus stop together. Sometimes we shared snacks. It felt nice to have someone to talk to. One morning, Jason asked me to help train a new worker. I was surprised. He said, "You know the job well. You're patient. Help him on the line." I said, okay. I showed the new man how to scan boxes. I showed him how to lift safely. He said thank you many times. I felt good. I never thought I would teach someone else. I had learned. Now, I could help. That night, I lay in bed and looked at the window. The moon was full. The sky was dark. I thought about the first day I lost my job. I thought about the long weeks after. I remembered how it felt to sit in silence. I remembered the fear and the cold air in the flat. But now, the flat was warm. I had food in the kitchen. I had clean clothes. I had work the next day. Life was not perfect, but it was better. I still had to be careful with money. I still had bad days, but I was not the same person I was before. I had changed. I had grown. I had walked through the hard part, and I was still walking. I didn't know what would come next. Maybe something better. Maybe not. But I was stronger now. I could stand on my feet. I could carry my own weight. I was not just someone who lost a job. I was someone who got up again. Spring came slowly. The days were brighter. The air felt softer. I started to walk more. I liked the fresh air in the morning. I liked hearing the birds sing. I still worked at the delivery place. I helped every day. I showed new workers how to pack. I cleaned the tables. I carried boxes to the trucks. It was not easy work, but I did it well. People started to notice me. They said I was helpful. Some said I worked fast. Some said I was kind. I started to feel proud again. Not because of money, not because of big things, but because I was steady. I showed up every day. I gave my best. I stayed quiet. I listened. I helped when I could. And people saw that. They did not see a sad person anymore. They saw a worker, a helper, someone who did not give up. Beth and I became friends. We did not talk a lot, but we liked each other's company. Some days we sat together in silence. That was okay. She understood. I did too. One day she gave me a small chocolate bar. I smiled. I said thank you. It was a small thing, but it made my day better. One morning, Jason called me to his office. I felt nervous. I thought maybe I did something wrong, but he looked calm. He said, "Emma, there is a new role." I looked at him. He said, "We need someone to check stock numbers." I stayed quiet. He said, "It is more hours, a little more pay. I think you can do it." I nodded. I said I would try. That day, I worked in a new space. I checked numbers on paper. I counted items on the shelf. I wrote them down. It was quiet work. It was careful work. I liked it. It gave me peace. It made me feel trusted. Not many people could do this job, but I could. Each week, I learned more. I still helped the team, but I also had this new task. I felt useful. I felt calm. I came home and made simple dinners. I cleaned my room. I read old books I found at a street stall. I drank tea by the window. I listened to the wind. These small things helped me rest. One Sunday, I looked around my flat. It was clean. It smelled nice. I had food in the kitchen. I had clean clothes. I had soap and toothpaste. I had paid all my bills. I sat on the sofa and felt quiet joy. It was not a big life, but it was safe. It was mine. I made it work. I thought about the time I had no job. I thought about the silence, the fear, the days I ate bread and beans, the days I didn't wash, the nights I didn't sleep. I was not that person anymore. I was still Emma, but I had changed. I was not weak. I was not broken. I was standing now. Some people think change is big. They wait for something big to happen. But for me, change was small. It was waking up early, washing my hair, making tea, going to work, saying hello, listening to others, carrying boxes, learning new tasks, eating warm food, saving coins. That was my change. I still had hard days. Some mornings I felt tired. Some evenings I felt lonely. But I knew how to rest. I knew how to keep going. I didn't give up anymore. I had been through worse. A few weeks later, Beth said she might leave the job. She said she wanted to move back to her hometown. I felt sad, but I understood. She gave me a small card. It said, "Thank you for your kindness." I kept the card in my drawer. It reminded me that quiet people still make a big difference. I worked more after Beth left. I did my part. I did her part too. I didn't complain. I knew things would get better again. Then one day, something new happened. A man from the office came to visit. He wore a blue shirt and glasses. Jason walked with him. They looked around the room. I stayed quiet. I did my work. But then Jason called me. He said, "Emma, this is Mr. Carter. He's from the main office." I said hello. Mr. Carter smiled. He asked me a few things. He said, "How long have you worked here?" I told him. He asked, "Do you like your job?" I said yes. He nodded and said, "That's good." A week later, Jason told me some news. Mr. Carter had offered me a new job. It was at the main office. It was full-time. It had better pay. It had training, too. I felt shocked. I asked, "Why me?" Jason said, "You work hard. You don't stop. People see that." I said I would take it. I wanted to try. I wanted to grow. I packed my things and said goodbye to my team. They clapped. Some hugged me. I felt shy. I didn't know what to say, but my smile said everything. The new job was not easy. I had to learn new things. I had to use a computer. I had to read reports. I had to write numbers. At first, I felt slow. I made mistakes, but I did not give up. I stayed late. I read the papers twice. I asked questions. Slowly, it got better. I started to enjoy it. I started to feel smart. Now, I go to the office 5 days a week. I take the early bus. I wear clean clothes. I sit at a desk. I write numbers. I talk to people. I eat lunch at the small table in the break room. I laugh sometimes. I feel calm. It is not just a job. It is a new life. A life I built step by step. I was not lucky. I was not helped by magic. I worked. I waited. I tried. And slowly, I grew. One Friday evening, I walked home from the bus stop. The sky was orange. The air was soft. I passed a shop window. I saw myself. I looked strong. I looked real. I looked proud. And I smiled. If you liked my story, please like, comment, and share. More simple and emotional stories are coming soon.